So this isn't going to be necessarily about the theory itself. It's about some strategies that I've learned how to use as this theory is being designed, how to interact with people, what's most effective for getting new innovative ideas out there, and some pitfalls I fell into in the past that I've learned to navigate around and just sort of get to know myself better and how I function and how my mind works. And how it's easy to get frustrated over ideas, and explaining something very important to somebody and then not listening, and just knowing where your bounds are with that type of stuff and learning how to make boundaries. Hi, Celeste. Innovation. Uh, with innovation, you have to look at the organization and what their main assumptions are. With innovation, say you have a set of ideas, a paradigm. You have this giant circle, and you can only innovate inside of that circle. You can only accept ideas that are coherent and jive with stuff that's inside that circle. You cannot innovate outside of the circle. You cannot reject some part of the ideas that are accepted inside of that paradigm and go off on your own. If you're inside of a larger organization, you can only innovate inside of what that organization believes to be true and real. So naturally, if there's a major idea or if there's a major issue with the paradigm, we should expect for the innovation to come outside of that paradigm, because the paradigm is going to crush that innovation that it needs. It's like a virus. It's going to try to kill the virus that's inside of that organization. And that's how the organization views ideas that are different from it. It rejects it because it's not going to jive with the organization. The organization will change because of it. And change, as we all know, is very scary. Large organizations are scared to death of change, which is why a lot of them fail, to be honest. Perseverance. It's been since September 3rd, 2011, that I've been working on this idea, this theory. Many times I've just wanted to just throw in the towel, and many times I have sort of thrown in the towel. I took a few month breaks at a time, a few week breaks, where, I remember telling Baz this, where I was like, Baz, just, I gotta chill, this is really mentally trying for me. I just gotta let it go for a little bit and, pretend that I'm never gonna come back to it ever again. Just sort of completely let go. And it helps to do that. Ignaz Semmelweis, the savior of mothers, the guy that pleaded for doctors who were doing work on cadavers and then delivering babies. He pleaded with them to wash their hands with a mix of what was it, chlorine and a lime solution to wash your hands really well, which is what everybody should be doing now with this virus crap going around. We should always have been washing our hands, to be honest. It's something that's basic hygiene. But with Semmelweis, he persevered to the point to where it made him crazy. Now I say made him crazy. I'm not sure. History books have it to where one of his friends had him committed, and within 14 days of being sent to that institution, some guards had beat him up or whatever, and he had died from a gangrenous wound on his hand. It got really bad, and it's one thing to persevere and to keep on going forward and to keep on pushing forward. It's another thing to just say, you know what, this isn't worth my emotional health. This isn't worth losing my mind and going, crazy, trying to get this idea out there. You have to learn where your limit is. Of course, the people who really make it with their ideas that are actually correct, they get lucky at times because they have a large well of energy to pull from so that they can persevere for long periods of time. That isn't me. It may look like I've been going at it for years and years, but I really haven't. I've been taking long breaks in between, which is good for your mental health. So if you are going to do something that's very mentally trying, yes, take a break, take extended breaks, and during those breaks, just tell yourself that, I'm giving up on it completely. To hell with it. I'm not even going to worry about it at all. I'm letting it go, so to speak. And you have to have that mindset to be fully immersed in a break so that your brain can heal and your emotions can kind of balance out again so you don't go crazy. And, you don't have any friends committing you to an institution because they think you've lost your mind. Another thing is to let the papers do the talking. You should limit the amount of conversational time you have with individuals. I made that mistake time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. Don't think that talking to people is going to convince them of what you're saying. Because many times people are just going to be there to argue with you. They're just going to be wasting your time. Because you're not going to be able to convince them. They're unconvincible. They're boneheaded. They're stubborn. And I don't mean stubborn in a good way. I mean stubborn in a bad way. They're stubborn. They're closed-minded. They don't think that they could be wrong about anything. They have no ability to humble themselves. And you're just going to be wasting your time trying to discuss a very advanced idea when they're not going to be open to it anyways. You're just going to be wasting your time. And that being said, you have to learn where to spot when people just want to argue and waste your time, and then draw the line between those people and people who are genuinely interested in understanding what it is you're trying to discuss with them. And that goes the same with everything. Every single argument in the history, I think, of humanity is stemming from that, is being able to determine if the person really wants to make an argument or if they want to argue with you. And that line it's not a line, it's a gray area. And sometimes it changes depending on the person's attitude and their emotional state. And, humans are very fickle at times. So one day you'll get somebody willingly asking you questions and being seemingly amicable to understanding what it is you're referring to and understanding the theory. And then the next moment they just, they're just impossible to discuss anything with. So learning for the most part to sort of limit that interaction. And limiting that interaction is going to save you a lot of emotional energy. I've wasted so much emotional energy trying to discuss this theory with people online. I should have just wrote it all down from the very beginning and just said, you know what, here's the paper, go read it. I'm not discussing this with you because it's just going to be a waste of time. You're going to believe what you want to believe, and I'm going to believe what I want to believe, and it's always going to be that sort of battling out of ideas, and it's just arguing on the internet is completely stupid. Don't ever do that. Don't ever argue on the internet because it's just, if you have people asking you questions, you can answer them quickly or give them a link to the idea that you wrote up, but don't sit there and argue with them. It's just a lose-lose scenario with that. And also, when you write stuff down, realize the power of centralizing information. If you're going to have ideas, don't put the ideas all over the map as a whole, but talk about the ideas in other places. But for the most part, have your ideas centralized so you have one specific spot where people say, oh, well, these are where the ideas are. This is where I can find this information, and it's all in one place. Especially without you needing to even talk to them about it. They could just find it themselves or, Google it or whatever. As well, I had gotten a message where they were like, you need more subscribers. This channel deserves more subscribers or whatever. I don't look at more subscribers as being as important. Maybe it would be really cool to have more subscribers, but truth is, I only need a few people to see this understanding and to learn, because it's two things: exponential growth of ideas outside of my ability to control them. So I know this idea is all over the world, and there are literally thousands of people that know about this idea, thousands that I've never met and probably will never meet in my entire life, but understand the idea. And as well, there's what is that word called when you have an individual? Oh, degrees of separation. So for instance, if you have an idea and you tell somebody, and then that person tells somebody else, and then that person tells somebody else, it's like 3 or 4 degrees of separation. And those ideas can spread like that to people who you would never have interacted with on a personal basis, even in a work environment, ever, because the degrees of separation make it to where it's like they're off in another country somewhere, say together, and they don't even speak English. And to utilize the power of degrees of separation, like, I'm sure that everybody knows everybody, and I think they said like there's like the minimum degrees of separation to where every human being knows every other human being is about in 6. So one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees of separation, and that's how the idea is spread without needing a lot of subscribers, to be honest. Sure, there are some YouTubers that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers, but a lot of the ideas that they're sharing, it's basically shared among a lot of other people, and a lot of it's entertainment purposes. This isn't necessarily entertainment, this is more or less me vlogging my journey and what it was like developing 21st century astrophysics, and getting a major understanding out there that, you know, you're never going to see in a astrophysical journal, and you're never going to see in academics. It's just never going to exist because the paradigm doesn't allow it to exist. I have to work outside of that. But those are some strategies that you can probably use if you have your own ideas or theories or insights. And just to make sure, if you have them as well, I always advocate writing it down. Don't think that just talking to somebody is going to get the word across. Write it down and put it on a online archive or some type of website like Vixra where people can see it, and you can be asleep in your bed and people will read it, and you don't even need to interact with anybody. It's the introverts. It's the dream of the introvert to have ideas that are shared and they don't have to interact with people. But I don't mind interacting with people. It's okay. Just sometimes it's overwhelming. All right, you guys. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Later.